So after my video on the Messi and Ronaldo analysis where I discussed and compared their stats and achievements in a condensed format, while still developing the ideas presented for it not to sound watered down, I still left some points to be further developed later on in future videos, and one of them is their international goal scoring record. Their goal tally with their respective countries has exceeded the 100 goal mark. So as of December the 19th of 2023, Ronaldo is the record holder with the most goals scored in the international stage with 128 goals, and Messi is currently the third highest with 106 goals, who still has the chance of dethroning Ali Dai, the previous Iranian international and the current second place holder with 108 goals. So in this video we will discuss who is the better international goal scorer in more detail, as this is an important underdeveloped aspect around the Messi-Ronaldo discussions. So let's begin. As I said previously, Ronaldo is the top international goal scorer with 128 goals in 205 games, a ratio of 0.624 goals per game. Leo has 106 goals in 180 games, a ratio of 0.588 goals per game. So already Ronaldo is doing much better. Not only he has more games, but also a better ratio, which is an anomaly. In all club competitions, Messi has the better ratio with less or the same number of games, which makes more sense. So there has to be a reason for this. Well, for the uninitiated, Ronaldo and Messi both played the majority of their career in a European club and in the same league. So it's much easier to compare their club-related stats, but when it comes to their international stats, they have played the majority of their games in two different continental confederations. Ronaldo with Portugal in the UEFA Confederation, which boasts 55 nations, and Messi in the CONMEBOL Confederation, which only has 10 nations. Thankfully, we have the FIFA rankings to help us with this dilemma. Currently, and using the newest updated rankings of the 13th of November 2023, the average FIFA ranking for each confederation is as follows. UEFA's average is 69, without including Portugal it's 70. CONMEBOL's average is 32, and without Argentina it's 36. Currently, none of the South American nations is ranked 100th or lower. The weakest right now is Bolivia in the 85th rank, and historically Bolivia has usually been the weakest CONMEBOL nation. However, they used to be ranked much higher, even reaching the 46th rank in 2017. Comparatively, 14 nations in Europe are currently ranked 100th or lower, with 3 of those nations ranked 200th or lower in the bottom 10 weakest nations overall, and San Marino being the weakest of them all, ranked 210th. So looking at these numbers, we can tell that Messi plays against nations that are twice as strong on average than in Ronaldo's case. Then we have to actually calculate the average power ranking of the nations they played against in their careers. So let's start with Ronaldo. 205 games represented in this pie chart. 82.9% of his international matches were against UEFA nations. Only 9 games versus South American nations, so 4.4%. His second most played football federation is the CAF, the African Federation, with 14 games, so 6.8%. On the other side, Messi has a more balanced international distribution. Only 57.2% of his games were versus South American nations. His second most was against the UEFA Federation with 38 games, more than a fifth of his total matches, most likely due to the World Cup. And unlike Ronaldo, he has never played against an Oceanian nation. And so the average ranking of the nations they versed in their careers is 51.4 for Ronaldo and 35.8 for Messi. To clear any doubt, I only used the rankings of nations during the date of the match. So let's say Ronaldo played against Sweden the World Cup playoffs in 2013, I used Sweden's FIFA ranking during that day. But to make it a more fair comparison, I have to make another calculation, a different one, using more fair rules. In 2014, during the World Cup final, Germany was still ranked second. Then days later, they became first in FIFA rankings as a result of their World Cup win. So for their games in official tournaments like the World Cup, the Euro Cup, and the Copa America, I'm using the updated rankings after said tourneys. It's more logical since nations are not as serious with their squad selections in friendlies and qualifier games compared to the big stage, like the World Cup where teams are much more prepared. So using the updated FIFA rankings for every tournament they partook in, so all the Euro Cups, the Copa Americas and the World Cup, Messi's ranking only slightly improved, from 35.8 using the normal method to 35.45 using my method. Ronaldo's rating worsened from 51.4 to 53.15. So a difference of 17.7 FIFA rankings between the two legends. Now, this doesn't paint the whole picture. What about their goals? You can play against the 200th ranked nation 10 times and maybe you didn't score much against them, but you perform way better versus the top 10 nations. For example, in 2022, Messi scored versus France in the World Cup final twice. Using the updated rankings, France jumped from 4th to 3rd after the World Cup final. So both the goals will count as separate values. Basically, my system rewards whoever scores more goals against strong teams. So using my method, let's calculate the FIFA average of the nations they scored against. Messi has scored on average against nations ranked 47.39. Meanwhile, Ronaldo scored against nations ranked 67.97. So a difference of 20.6. Same as his game distribution, Messi's goal distribution is balanced. As you can clearly see, it's much harder to score in South America. 41.5% of goals while playing 57.2% of his games versus CONMEBOL nations. His UEFA ratio is very good. 24.5% of his goals were scored in 21.1% of his total games. And you have to consider that he played against the likes of Germany, Spain, France, the Netherlands, Croatia, Portugal twice or more, while also performing and scoring against them. The only game where he had the chance to stats pad versus a European nation was versus Estonia, with 5 goals. We can also say that Messi's goal tally got a boost from playing versus CONCACAF nations, with only a total of 12.2% of his games, while scoring 22.6% of his total goals against the likes of Mexico, the USA, Panama, Curacao, Haiti, etc. The CONCACAF is the weakest football federation, currently with an average ranking of 136, but Messi only played against CONCACAF nations ranked 52 on average, with Mexico being his most to both play and score against. Now, Ronaldo's international goal distribution is surprisingly not diversified. Well, not so surprising when you remember that he played 170 games, 82.9% versus UEFA nations, scoring 112 goals, so 87.5% of his total goals. Against the other 5 football federations, he scored 13 goals in 35 games, only 2 goals in 9 appearances versus CONMEBOL nations, failing to score in all of his 3 games played versus Brazil, and unlike Messi, he got the chance to meet at least one nation from each of the 6 federations, and also managed at least 1 goal against each of them. Now, Messi diversifies his goals more than Ronaldo, but it's not only because of their football ability, no. Ronaldo doesn't get as many chances to face nations from other federations besides friendlies. The World Cup is the only other chance Ronaldo gets to face CONMEBOL nations, but only 4 or 5 of them can be in the World Cup, compared to 13 UEFA nations. But you still have to perform in the World Cup to face those nations, right? Ronaldo has 26.56% of his total goals, which is 34 goals that were against nations ranked 100 or more. 32 of them were against UEFA nations. Messi has 11.32% of his total goals, so 12 goals against nations ranked 100 or more. 5 of them were against a UEFA nation, which was Estonia in 2022, and 0 against CONMEBOL nations. Only strong football nations exist in South America. I guess the equivalent of Ronaldo having the chance to versus nations like Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Andorra, Estonia, San Marino, etc. is if the CONCACAF and the CONMEBOL were united under one banner, so 45 nations total, to play World Cup qualifiers and Copa America qualifiers, versus nations like Suriname, Puerto Rico, Barbados, Bahamas, the US and the British Virgin Islands? Huh? Wait, these guys play football? Really? I never knew that. Huh. Interesting. Well, you get the picture. Messi would have had like 200 international goals. I'm not even exaggerating. Looking at some of these Central American nations, some of these islands, huh? What is a nation with 15k inhabitants gonna do to Argentina? Nice logo, Anguilla. It reminds me of a certain guy's abilities. Thank you guys for watching the video. Sub to the channel for more. Check out my other content and I'll see you later. Goodbye.